Good evening and welcome to the Natural Resource News. I'm Frida Fracking with the latest updates. Since 2008, major gas and coal explorations and constructions have been occurring in the southwest region of Queensland, now referred to as the Surat Basin. Towns within the area, like Dalby, Chinchilla, Miles, Condamine, Wandoan and Roma, have been ambushed by the ferocious tigers of the gas and coal industries with the full support of the state and federal governments behind them. Origin Energy, ConocoPhillips, Santos and QGC have all been given approval to generate at least $40 billion worth of taxes and 18,000 jobs within the industry over the next 30 years. The state claim that they still have the right to whatever is lying beneath the land and have given these companies the power to explore wherever they like, even if this involves clearing land that is home to vulnerable ecosystems and animal species. In the Surat Basin alone, these mining companies have purchased 155,000 hectares of prime cattle grazing and cropping lands. The farmers are not only worried about their land being bought from them, the other concern is if the Great Artesian Basin water supply becomes contaminated or worse still, ceases to exist. Earlier today I had an interview with a local lady from Miles. Her name's Lucy Lockett. She explained to me her views on the expansion of the coal seam gas and coal mining industries within her small township. Hi Frida, and thank you for the interview. The little people within all of this don't get to be heard too often. Back in the times of drought, our rural farming communities were really struggling. Drawing from John Austin's definition, our differences were considered to be in deficit compared to what the government had decided the economic, social and living standards in Australia should be. Our high unemployment rates and low incomes were considered by the government to be unsustainable. The ascribed views of country people being poor, naive and uneducated allowed for these mining companies to attempt to gain what they wanted amicably through money. Our farming communities are now in a David and Goliath battle, feeling powerless against these larger identities. To apply the formula promoted by Andrew Hickey, the collective identities of rural towns has been about the Aussie battler, the attitude of she'll be right mate. Small towns have always been known for their friendly and familiar faces and considered a quiet and safe haven for children to be raised, with little traffic, minimal crime and strong community spirit. The government is changing our national identity by proving to the rest of the world Australia is a proactive nation for combating the global financial crisis and global warming with the boosting of our economy through the export of clean energy. This form of cultural violence has massacred our community identity now, causing mistrust towards the government and the mining companies because of the invasion of our homes and places and their ignorance towards us. Our community spirit has been disheartened due to locals having to leave our district because of unaffordability. We no longer maintain our previous identity positions. The social implications within our communities have been enormous, with increases of noise, pollution and crime. Our well-renowned bush scenery surrounding our town limits has been cleared by developers. And now the unfamiliar faces everywhere is disrupting our safe, small town identity that we once had. However, this is meant to be the best thing for us. Hi, I'm Tilley, and here's my ideas on curriculum for a Year 6 class on how to mediate difference and dominance. Okay, first and foremost, I would have the children get out their dictionaries and look up the meanings for me, and then be able to incorporate those words into a sentence just to ensure their basic comprehension. Okay, then next up we would have some discussions that would help them determine what difference and dominance can be in a social context. Okay, the example I've used here is the mining companies against the small communities on the difference and dominance in that social context. Okay, so hopefully by the end of it, the children have gained a good grasp on the subject, so then they can apply their knowledge to the projects that I've incorporated. Okay, some other discussions held can be using this diagram, for example, which would display clearly the dominant and the different sector within the community that they're looking at, the topics they're looking at. Okay, so These discussions will also involve what makes them different and why the other person is the dominant one. Just hopefully making the children realise that, is there any reason for dominance? Okay, so then nextly, we will have our first project. Okay, so this will incorporate the children pairing off and being the dominant one for the day. Okay, so they make up their own set of rules as to what they like to wear, and they need to enforce these onto the other for a whole day. And then I'd like the children to write about how they felt that day, whether they were the enforcer or whether they were being the ones made to do what they didn't like. Now hopefully the conclusion of this will prove to the children the irrelevance of difference between others, and hopefully make them realise that there's no need to have the attitude of dominance over others just purely because they are different. Okay, the second exercise will also develop computing and research skills. Okay, so this task will be to investigate ours and other countries' histories and to locate a dominating event that occurred. Okay, and then they would be asked to determine the reasons why each group were considered different, and also how each group maintained their dominance within their society. Okay, so the third investigation will be a class excursion. Woohoo! This can be utilised in other ways, but in keeping with my theme, the example would be to go to a local farmer and also the local gas power station. Okay, so the local farmer would be someone who has had his land purchased from him, so he can discuss the events leading up to this and how it is impacted on his life. Okay, so the farmer will also be interviewed by the students, coming up with some questions in a brainstorming session in class prior. And then we'll have the tour of the local gas station, and we'll hear from a representative who will be able to explain the benefits of the mining of the gas, and they'll also be asked a number of questions by the students. Okay, so this excursion then leads up to an impromptu debate in class. Okay, so the children will have to incorporate the information that they learnt on the excursion to discuss their ideas on whether coal seam gas should be done or not. Okay, and that just allows the students to share their own opinions and display how they feel about the situations within a community regarding difference and dominance. Now hopefully by the end of the term, students will fully understand the effects of dominance towards others. Okay, they should come to the realisation that attitudes of needing to dominate or ridicule others because of their difference shouldn't be happening. They need to treat every person as an equal. Okay, so I hope to instill in my students that difference isn't a problem that needs to be fixed. Okay, difference is a way to identify each person as an individual, and there should be no reason in life for someone to believe that they have more dominance in another just because of their difference. Thank you.